What's up, party people? This is Jose Heredia with the Crossfader Show. Here with a group of guys who've created a podcast called That DJ Podcast. And if you would, guys, would you mind introducing yourselves and how did you get started?
Sure thing, not a problem. I am Ben, the current and I guess kind of former host of That DJ Podcast. With me here is Brandon.
What's up, Internet?
As well as Ross.
Hello.
So both of them were, the trusty co-host, and we together were That DJ Podcast for several months. Brandon and I were DJing for a while. We had been friends for a long time and then became business partners for a while. And we have a love of podcasting, and we said, you know what, let's make a podcast. And the first time Brandon brought it up, I was like, oh, yeah, no. And then a little while later, I said, that's a pretty good idea. Maybe we should do that. And he's like, see, I told you. So we said, okay, it'd be great to have a third guy. At Penn State, I knew of Ross. He was a good friend of mine, who I also knew was a DJ. And I said, hey, Ross, you want to do a podcast? And he goes, yeah, sure. What's a podcast? So the band of misfits got together and formed the show, bi-weekly show, and gained seemingly quite a large following.
Now, the podcast, in my eyes, was a great resource for information, and you guys had a very good place where you can provide information, news, and updates to your audience. Tell us about the way that you guys have kind of distributed the responsibilities. I know that Ross had a certain role in the podcast, although you guys dissed him a lot. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, mainly because it was an easy target. He's got broad shoulders.
It happens.
But yeah, we really did divide up the responsibilities equally. Brandon was kind of always he's our resident and always has been kind of webmaster and all-around technical guy. Ross and I are both technical guys, but when it comes to really knowing that kind of thing, it's Brandon. So he was always the biggest guy on that, as well as doing a lot of promotion and finding news stories and things like that. Ross, originally, we each had different segments, and then we kind of went away from that and changed it to different segments from what it originally was. So Ross ended up being our go-to guy to go get interviews. He would go out and make sure that we had somebody lined up and make sure that they were all scheduled and ready to go. And then I just kind of sat back and watched them.
PC DJ. Actually, PC DJ has released a new update. Gasp. We've talked about PC DJ in the past. Some of you use that, we know. And if you would like to find out some great new features, just listen for another couple seconds here.
I also helped out with news stories and everything like that. Did some promotion as far as Twitter and things like that, and making sure that things ran smoothly. But to me, it seems like as the host, I was the main voice, but I was by no means the most important person. We all shared an equal load, and it worked out. If it had been any other way, I don't think it would have worked out nearly as well as it did.
One of my favorite segments, and I'm sure all of the DJ podcast segments, That DJ Podcast fan segments were the Bieber Watch.
Oh, yes.
Who came up with the Bieber Watch, and who kept on track with what was going on with Justin Bieber?
I was the most obsessed about that.
I really don't recall how we came up with the Bieber Watch. Do you, Brent?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that. I don't even remember. I know I went every week and gave up pieces of my life to go track down news stories on Justin Bieber, and I don't regret it at all. But yeah, that was a popular segment. I have no idea why we did it. It just seemed like the thing to differentiate us from other podcasts, and yeah, I'll never get those moments in my life back ever.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't take us seriously, that's okay because we can't take ourselves seriously.
Continue to not take us seriously.
Continue not to. It's that time. It's Bieber Watch. Justin Bieber.
Woo!
That crazy little kid doing his crazy little stuff.
Shenanigans.
If you haven't listened to the show before, this is a running joke among us. We understand that Justin Bieber has very little, if not nothing, to do with DJing in any sense of the word.
He gave us a lot of content, though. I appreciate it.
I think if you guys were still on the Justin Bieber watch, there'd be a lot more information that you can give. I mean, getting hit in the head at a concert and just all the antics that he's up to. I'm sure that you'll find a lot of content.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the last ones we did was he ran into a glass door or something. that was our last episode we did, but yeah, he was great.
Now, the last episode you uploaded, episode number 9, titled "The End of an Era for Now," explains your transition into bigger and better things. You have a big, giant podcast network, and you're announcing that you're looking for a new DJ host to host that DJ podcast.
Absolutely. We, Brandon and I have, we have been, I guess a little backstory, we've been DJs and we know a lot about mobile DJing, but as a whole, the DJ world is still somewhat of a mystery art to us. We're not as good as we'd like to be, and probably never will be, as far as actual live mixing and things like that, if we're just being honest. So we were good with the news, we were good with things like that, but we knew that there are people out there, a little more qualified than us to run a show about DJs for DJs. Brandon and I had this desire to do this, to make a bigger podcast network and make DJ podcasts part of it. So in turn, what we really want is for someone who is out there, who is qualified, who has the passion, the desire, the knowledge, and the people skills, really, to get on and deliver nonstop, constant, good material, good, relevant, down in the trenches with people kind of material for our podcast. And we're really looking for a host who can come alongside, bring some good co-host and bring some quality content, and just kind of add to the community with something we love doing so much.
I was to say, it was our first show we ever started, so I mean, we have a connection to the show, and when we went to start the podcast network, we've kind of expanded to, we have a sports show, we have a video game show, we have a movie show now, and we have some shows coming on later, but we did not want to give up the DJ show just because we had already built it, we had the website, we had everything, and we had a good following. So I mean, we didn't just want to give it up, and we want to basically extend all this onto somebody else who can come in and help us, promote the show even further and push it into the future, I guess. So.
And so we have selected November 1st, 2010 to be the audition date to have this talent come out and show what they have, and hopefully you guys can approve of the talent and be able to pick out your next That DJ podcast host.
Absolutely, that would be great. That's what we want. We want some cool, talented people to come on out for it.
Now let's just lay down the guidelines for the talent search. First, they would have to be somebody who's a DJ, right?
Yes. That's important.
That's important. That's probably the reason why you want a DJs, because it's That DJ podcast.
Right, yeah.
Secondly, they would have to have at least some experience in front of a microphone.
Preferably, yes, absolutely. Podcasting experience not necessary, but definitely is welcome. But we also know that there are people who are well qualified in front of a microphone and with things like that have never even heard of a podcast. Also, probably somebody who is inside the United States. I mean, geographically speaking, there's no limit, right? There's not.
Good, because it's a podcast and they're able to record it locally to their computer and then be able to upload it to That DJ podcast network.
Right. Since our primary audience is the United States as a whole, we would prefer a first language or a very, very strong second language to be English.
Por favor, no español.
Right.
And of course, being able to be flexible to produce or at least record the shows in a timely manner, right? You're looking at a bi-weekly show?
We are looking at either a bi-weekly show or a weekly show, depending on the host that we select's desire. We would love to see a weekly show, but we understand, too, that certain realms of life just don't have enough news or things to talk about every week. So we're willing to work with the host on that particular subject.
So how would a person submit their entry into that DJ podcast talent search?
Basically, you can go to thatdjpodcast.com/host, where you can basically go see a rundown of, what kind of we said tonight, what, requirements, what skills we think are important for this. Just basically the general layout of what we're looking for, and at the bottom you can go and apply now, which, don't be overwhelmed by what you see. Fill out what you can. We understand you can't do everything. And then submit your resume to us. We will get it and get back to you.
On November 1st, that's when we actually put them to the test. We'll contact them either on Skype or on the phone, and they could somewhat do like an audition process. What we can do is set up like an interview, and maybe improvisation, and then a readout, so they can read out a script. Would that be cool?
Right, that'd be great. And actually, you said up until November 1st, we'd actually love to have the applications by a deadline of October 29th. That way we have the weekend to review, just to make sure we get all the qualified applicants, to make sure we don't miss anybody. That way, if somebody comes in on the 1st, we don't want to miss them by just because it was late. So
very good.
October 29th would be a great deadline, and yeah, like you just said, all those things would work great for us.
Great. So October 29th will be the deadline, and November 1st will actually be the audition day. We're going to have a special Crossfitter show episode, and we're going to tape it later on in the evening, so that way we have Ross, Brandon, and Dennis be able to be the judges in essence, and we're just acting as a host. So kind of like a go-between the DJ podcast, you guys, and the new host or potential host. Very good. Well, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for coming on the show and doing a quick interview with us and explaining that DJ podcast to all our Crossfitter show viewers, and hopefully we can somehow cross-pollinate our viewerships.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
Thank you very much.